I need to bring somebody else to the front of the congregation. A lot of this went over y'all head because y'all think that Anton just be talking shit. And you think that I just got some theories and conspiracy theories, and the way in which I look at things is based off of the fact that I'm a Republican and I'm conservative. And now that I got money because Republicans is for rich people and Democrats is for the poor people. And that's why they trying to get my student loans forgiven. That's why y'all keep telling me. Well, did you know that your favorite black president penned an open letter? Shout out to Spaces. Trying to get Rita to come and get me. Can't come and get me. I'm in my studio by myself with my door locked. Your president penned an open letter supporting librarians and the alphabet community movement and was 100% against the removal of certain books that are in the schools and in the libraries that is teaching your children some of the most egregious things. I think that no one summed it up better than my friend Jason Whitlock. Shout out to the Witty. Shout out to Jason Whitlock in the building. Nobody summed it up better than my guy Jason Whitlock. I can't sum it up. All I can do is give you the insight and information and my thoughts on it. But let's see what Jason had to say about it. Jason, we love you. We appreciate you. Let's step into bring President Obama into y'all so scared to bring Obama to the front of the congregation. You so scary that it's not going to align with the black agenda and they going to start not taking us serious because it's always us against them, even though they hijacked the black community and all of this other type of stuff. You always doing something that you ain't supposed to do. Always getting into something that you ain't supposed to get into because you don't want to be honest about the things that we facing out here in these streets. Shout out to my dog, Jason Whitlock in the building. Let me go ahead and see what it is that he got to say. Because this is flying under the radar and nobody wants to talk about it, but I'm going to bring it to the front of the congregation.
Newsweek gave Barack Obama the title of first gay president on its May 21st, 2012 cover. Andrew Sullivan, a gay writer, wrote the accompanying story. Filled with glee over Obama's public support of gay marriage, Sullivan gushed over the then president as he politicked for a second term. Sullivan wrote, quote, "When you step back a little and assess the record of Obama on gay rights, you see, in fact, that this was not an aberration. It was an inevitable culmination of 3 years of work," end quote. Yes, in hindsight, Obama's path to becoming the LGBTQIA+ community's best friend was all but inevitable. Perhaps it was his mission from the outset. Tying the journey of black people to the cause of lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgenders is Obama's most enduring and impactful legacy.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that when we think about Obama's legacy, we don't think about anything related to Obamacare. We don't have a conversation related to auto industry. We don't even have a conversation related to it being a champion for the black community. You know what his most lasting impression is and the thing that he champions the most when it comes to having conversations today? It has nothing to do with anything that's going on in your neighborhoods. It has nothing to do with how it is that he's continuing to come back and then champion for his Chicago roots, even though Chicago is quite possibly one of the worst ran cities in the entire United States of America. You know what his championing legacy moment was? Advocating for, supporting, and the thing that he continues to do is to support the alphabet community. You voted him in office because he was black. You voted him in office because you thought that he was going to save the auto industry. You thought that he was going to be a great leader and what it was that he was leading us through when it came to, the whole recession and everything like that, right? He sold you a lot of things, but his lasting legacy, his moments came from and is for the support of people that is, in my opinion, completely against what it is that you're championing for what's best for your children. Let's continue to hear what Whitlock got to say.
The legacy he guards with vigilance and tremendous courage. Monday, Obama quadrupled down on the alliance he forged between blacks and gays, penning a letter to the American librarians encouraging them to stand against the forces trying to eliminate books deemed too sexually mature for children.
Obama just released an open letter, meaning that it was open for everybody to see. And he's advocating for librarians and the powers that be to stand against the removal of criteria that is advocating for against their parents' wishes and what's being taught in schools, literature that is written by people that is not in favor of what it is that you support, that teaches the sexualization and things that your children should not be learning in school and should not be reading in school with regard to certain acts. Of all the letters that he could have written, you got student loan crisis, you got inflation, you got wars over in Ukraine, you got the communities and the black communities in shambles, inner cities. There's a debate over what's happening with regard to climate change. You got housing crisis. People are going homeless. In the open letter that he's written on July 17th, 2023, is based off of the idea that librarians and people that control what it is that your children are learning in school stand up and be steadfast. This is your ex-president. This is your first black president.
Obama wrote, quote, today, some of the books that shaped my life and the lives of so many others are being challenged by people who disagree with certain ideas or perspectives. It's no coincidence that these banned books are often written by or feature people of color, indigenous people, and members of the LGBTQ plus community.
The finesse is still in. The way that you champion a cause, especially when a lot of people don't necessarily agree with it, is you tie it to something that they can't ignore. For example, feminism was not a black woman thing. Feminism was a white woman thing. And then in order for them to continue to garner support for it, they then said that it affects women of color also. And so they identified you as a part of the cause because they said that you was a woman, even though it wasn't in your best interest. Another thing that they did, they tied the movement of the black community specifically to the movement of the alphabet community. And so they're saying that, listen, you can't ignore or have one without the other. So if you want any kind of traction of what it is that you think is meaningful to you, you're going to have to support the thing that you don't even advocate for or the thing that you don't believe in. And so what they did was they conditioned you to look at things a certain type of way. And so they never could stand on their own. What they do is they tie it into what it is that's meaningful for you so that when you vote and they look at the language in these legislative branches and these policies, you can't have one without the other. And so when you see this verbiage in here, it's no coincidence that these banned books are often written by or feature people of color, indigenous people, and members of the LGBTQ plus community. You still don't see the finesse, do you? 15 years later, after 2008, you still don't see the finesse, do you? Oh, you're going to learn today.
Obama did not name the books that shaped his life and are under attack. The book motivating many parents to object across the country is Genderqueer, a memoir. It's written by Amaya Kobabe, a 34-year-old San Francisco-raised cartoonist and author who claims he is non-binary. According to a glowing New York Times profile in 2022, Genderqueer, published in 2019, is the most polarizing and challenged book inside American libraries. Written for elementary and junior high students, the book depicts, describes, and illustrates numerous gay sex acts.
Written for elementary and junior high students. These are the most impressionable years of your entire existence. Written for elementary and junior high students, which is the most impressionable years that you have within your life, which is one of the reasons why we have to be vigilant about our children, because even if you raise them right within your household, you know what's happening? They got to spend 8 hours being indoctrinated and impressed on by the things that they read and the stuff that they're being taught, and then the things that they see that's being reinforced within their lives to make it seem like it's okay. And this is okay, according to society.
The American Library Association awarded the book a 2020 Alex Award, an honor
which is one of the reasons why Obama is appealing to specifically librarians.
given to books written by adults that have special appeal to 12 to 18-year-olds. In his letter to librarians, Obama referenced authors Mark Twain, Toni Morrison, Walt Whitman, and James Baldwin.
And he's specifically tying it to things that literally have no relevance in order to try to substantiate why it makes sense for you to continue to advocate for, or in my case, against what your children is going to be learning in these schools.
Maybe Obama's mad that some critics ripped The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn for its crudeness in 1885 and in more recent years for its repeated use of the N-word. Maybe that's driving Obama. But I doubt it. Referencing Twain is a distraction. Toni Morrison, Walt Whitman, and James Baldwin underscore Obama's real point. Morrison is a black woman, and Whitman and Baldwin are two of the most famous gay writers in American history.
And I bet y'all didn't know that either, did y'all? Two of the most famous gay writers in American history.
Obama's letter is a reminder to black people in general and black women in particular that our freedom is directly tied to the freedom and support of the LGBTQ. Black women and gays are the peanut butter and jelly of the Democratic Party. White suburban feminists are the Wonder Bread. Spread gays and blacks across liberal white women, and you have the perfect political sandwich. It's a coalition of voters who have been programmed to hate masculinity, the patriarchy, and life-giving heterosexuality. Cucked men, white and black, are the glass of milk used to wash down the sandwich. This political alliance is how you get a large group of people to believe children need pornographic library books to be well-rounded. Obama knows this entire book banning controversy centers around hypersexualized material. He's seen the viral and social media videos of outraged parents reading the books aloud at school board meetings. He knows that his political party is being blamed for stealing the innocence of children. His letter to librarians is a cleverly played race card. Will it work? Are black women so lost in racial idolatry and the spoils of perceived power that they will sacrifice their children to sexual perversion? Are white feminists so filled with bitterness and lust for power that they will sacrifice other people's children to sexual perversion? I can't answer those questions. We live in a time where people think nothing of grown men gyrating their genitals in front of kids at pride parades. We live in a time when Obama's skin color provides him the cover to justify and promote blatant immorality and dishonesty. We live in a public square filled with whataboutism. We can't complain about Obama's hypocrisy and lack of morality because George W. Bush and Dick Cheney pretended Osama bin Laden, from a cave 5,000 miles away, collapsed Building 7 without an airplane. And what about January 6th and Brett Favre? We expect and accept that our politicians lie to us. The acceptance of those lies doesn't mean we should ignore the people sexualizing and grooming children.
And again, I often say, and I've been saying this for a long time, that when it was revealed to me, it was almost as though I couldn't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to acknowledge the idea that they literally tied, and this is your politicians and your legislators, they tied the alphabet community specifically to the liberal party. Think about it like this, right? The one thing that conservatives advocate for is A, freedom of speech and freedom of choice. Doesn't absolve you from freedom from consequences. But the one thing that we say is, listen, we advocate for you to be able to say whatever it is that you want to say when you want to say it, but we don't believe that you should impose your views and your lifestyle on other people. And that's where we separate and disagree, right? My point of it all is that when I can't unsee what I saw, and the minute that y'all start waking up, listen, even Umar Johnson, somebody who I vehemently disagree with on a lot of different things, we both see things the exact same way when it comes to the alphabet community, Obama being the very biggest spokesman for it, and how it is that things are being led within our society, and you ignoring it is also supporting it. And so I would encourage you guys to go out and read this open letter that Obama wrote, specifically to librarians and everybody that is in support of what it is that we know is not the right thing to do. And he's using his influence, he's using his blackness, and he's using his former presidency and his popularity in order to push a narrative. And if you guys can't see it, if you don't actually go back and revisit what his legacy is, and you don't have a different perspective now that you've grown and you've been educated on exactly what's going on out here in these streets, it's nothing else I can do for you. It's nothing else I can do for you.